Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
No, I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
Okay. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to...
Well, this is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be? Does one of us have to come out alive? The permission structure for violence. You've got polls about political violence. Democrats don't think it's a good idea. Only Republicans. Only people inclined to consume conservative media are now, I think, upward of 50% say that if necessary, violence is okay. You've only got the conduct on one of the two sides.
The conduct is only on one of two sides, and she's referring to the right. Thank you, MSNBC, for clarifying that for us all. Now, at the very beginning of this segment, I provided you a clip, about a minute's worth of prominent Democrats using charged language to potentially incite violence against conservatives or Trump supporters. Why am I starting off the segment this way? Well, yesterday was July 13th, 2024, and a lone gunman attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. And I was going to do a segment, of course, on that, but while it was happening, I was watching it live. And on one of my social media platforms, I decided that I'm going to make a post, keep it very simple, for my friends to see that may not have access to a TV at the time or may not be paying attention of their phones. And it was very simple. A very simple post. Right here. Let's see if we can get it all filled in here. We get it to fit. Come on. And you want to, there we go. We got it to fit in there. Sorry about that. Took a minute, but sometimes you just got to work on it to make it fit, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. But anyway, here we go. It's a very simple post. Watched an assassination attempt against Donald Trump live. He was hit in the right ear. Multiple shots fired. Sources say the Secret Service or police shot and killed the shooter. That part is not confirmed. Very simple. No accusations. No bias anywhere. No accusations, no blame, no nothing. Just the facts of what was going on. So what does that have to do with anything? Well, two of my friends began arguing over this post. You would think, how would they argue over a post like this? It's just providing information. You would expect to see that, oh my gosh, I can't believe someone tried to do this. Is he okay? We're praying for Donald Trump. Stuff like that. Very simple, just very, simple responses. But no, this is social media. It can't just be, what it is. It has to be, expanded upon in more ways than one. The two friends that got into this argument are, we're just going to call them my friend Danny and my friend Phyllis. And I would say, knowing Phyllis as long as I have, that she would be somewhere just left of center. Now, Danny, on the other hand, is, in this case, trolling her, has a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome, or he's a communist. So, this is the reason why yesterday happened. It's just like a little micro environment. Why things happen like things happened yesterday. Not saying that they are at fault, but it's conversations like this that fuel things that happened like yesterday. For instance, you look at TikTok. You have the various algorithms that feed the shorts on all these platforms, the little 30-second shorts. You have a certain belief structure. You grow up with a certain belief structure. Then you start getting exposed to different ideas. And through time, your way of thinking, it changes. For instance, we'll keep it simple. Music. All right. You are driving in your car. All right. And a brand new song comes on the radio. And you're like, ew, this is an awful song. But that radio station, they're going to keep playing that song. They're going to keep it in that 10-song rotation, no matter what, even if you like it or not. And then guess what happens 2 months down the road? You're not even thinking about it. Then all of a sudden you're singing and bopping your head to that song in your car because it made an impression on you. It only just takes time. It just has to be repeated so many times before it gets stuck up in here. It's the same thing with media and social media. Now, I watched the assassination attempt live, and I got on X and other social media platforms just to see how the media was going to cover this and see who was saying what. And I couldn't believe my eyes. Now, for the most part, for the last 9.5 years or so, those of us that are in the middle or right of center have been complaining to many of you out there about how far gone the left is, what they're doing, how Joe Biden shouldn't be in office because he doesn't have the cognitive ability to do his job. And then many of you finally got exposed to it 2 weeks ago during the debate. And it was very off-putting for a lot of people, even myself. I felt so bad for Joe. Because I'm thinking to myself, who the hell are in his corner? Who are his handlers? Who are his prep team? Who are his advisors? To put him out on stage like that? And putting him in positions, even not necessarily in a debate, but I'm just talking about in any general situation that has to do with foreign affairs or national security. He's a corporeal body, that's it. And I feel bad for him. It's elder abuse. It simply is elder abuse. Now, I got off track. I'm not trying to bash on Biden. I'm not at all. This is about yesterday and how basically media affects us as human beings, the way we think, the way we choose sides. Now, as I show you here, this is a very straight to the point post. No bias, no accusations, no blame. Right away, of course, as soon as it happened, each side of the aisle started blaming each other. Whose fault is it? It's all Donald Trump's fault. No, it's Antifa. It's this person's fault. It's this politician's fault. Of course, it's going to be done because that's what they do. Now, I would like to think that there are a handful of people out there that don't get sucked into that and are willing to watch the real footage, watch the raw takes, and extract your own thoughts, your own opinions about what's going on. So as I'm watching the coverage, and I'm on X, and I'm seeing some of the headlines that the major news networks are putting out there. And I was dumbfounded. It was very obvious what was happening in front of me. I was watching an assassination attempt. It was very obvious what was going on. But the mainstream media refused to acknowledge what it was. They were coming out with headlines like this: Trump escorted away after loud noises at PA rally. Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally. Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises startle former president and crowd. That is what they're doing. Instead of reporting on what really happened, because they know people are not going to read the story. They just want to see the headlines. And those of you that are on a certain side of the aisle are going to see these headlines and be like, ha ha, chuckle, chuckle. And the other ones are going to be like, what? Why did he fall? What happened? Why would they do that? So it didn't make sense. So I bookmarked all these. Later that evening, I was with some other friends. And in troubling times, you have to have a sense of humor. So we were partaking in the meme generation of what had happened yesterday. And in a serious note, I showed a couple of friends some of these headlines. And they're looking at them, they're like, are these part of the memes that are being made? And I told them no. I said, these are genuine headlines that these media outlets are using to talk about what happened today. And they're like, no way. I said, yes, these are real. So I got out my phone and I Googled them right there with them. Pull up these stories. And they couldn't get over it. Now, mind you, these are Democrat friends. They were like, what the hell is this? This can't be real. But they were real. Yesterday, they were even exposed more to the lies that the media is telling all of us. We know what we watched on TV, but yet the media wants to give us these headlines because they know the majority of people are just going to read the headlines and not look at what's really going on. And that brings us back to our little post. Now, once again, I played that clip at the very beginning of the prominent Democrats inciting and using charged language to incite violence against conservatives and Trump supporters. The reason why I go into that is because this argument right here, it gives you a clear idea of why there's such a wedge between both sides. And there are several that are just caught in the middle that they don't want any part of the fight, either side. And this is a prime example of how certain individuals refuse to look or acknowledge the truth. And it's sad because these are the same ones that the media rely on to buy their BS. They're the same ones that buy the good people on both sides or injecting bleach. That's these people. Now, let's get to it. Okay, watch an assassination attempt against Trump live. He was hit in the right ear, multiple shots fired. Sources say the Secret Service or police shot and killed the shooter. That part not confirmed. That's it. No bias, no accusation. One friend that we call Dan. Scary, but hate breeds hate. So he is automatically accusing Donald Trump this is his fault. This is Donald Trump's fault that he got shot because of his rhetoric. Now another friend chimes in. There's hate on both sides and it's sad. Very unbiased, simply saying there is hate on both sides, which is true. This particular comment triggers my friend Dan because he refuses to acknowledge that there is hate on the left and there is hate on the right. He is accusing that the hate only comes from the right. That is another reason why I played that clip at the beginning of the segment. Because it is folks that are blind to the truth, that refuse to acknowledge facts because they can't get past their own bias. So let's read what Danny says. Agree to disagree. I can't remember any time Biden encouraged violence, sent dog whistles to white supremacists, targeted minorities, or attempted a government coup. Trump's entire brand is anger, hate, and disrespect. This is the bet he made. Flat out saying the reason why Donald Trump was potentially assassinated yesterday is because of his words. Because of Donald Trump. It's his fault. But yet, what did we see at the very beginning of this segment? He refuses to acknowledge that. But yet, when Proud Boys do something stupid and get into a fight with Antifa, what does the right do? We disavow the Proud Boys. We don't want nothing to do with that. That's not who we are. We acknowledge it. We condemn it. The left, not just like Dan, but also like the media, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, they refuse to acknowledge the violence of the left. Rioting is the language of the unheard. As long as it's for what they consider justice or a just cause, it's acceptable. And what do they throw to the right? January 6th. January 6th. Everything. January 6th. Now, the left always claims that white supremacy and white nationalism is on the rise on the right, in the far right. So I was like, okay, let me see if I can actually find some events where the right or even far right incited violence or did anything. January 6th. That's what comes up. January 6th. But then when you go to articles saying that white nationalism is on the rise or far right extremist inciting violence is on the rise, there are no examples. It's just articles saying that it is. Where is it? Give me incidents. Show us proof. And I'm not trying to defend far right extremists or white nationalism. Fuck them. Okay? But I'm talking about how the media and the left always say it's the right that is inciting the violence, when they can provide no examples except for one. And that is January 6th. But yet, the last 10 years, just in this little bit of a clip at the beginning here, I've shown you how many examples of the left. Just saying. So the big wedge is simply language, where to the left, words are violence. To the right, words are just words, sticks and stones. Now, the argument continues. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because otherwise we'll be here for an hour. And it goes on, and she goes on to try to express her points of view, what she believes in, her policies, what she likes. And she is a very balanced and very middle of the road, average, everyday American. And she claims not to be a Republican. She claims not to be a Democrat. She's right in the middle. Now, when I talked about the false headlines provided by the mainstream media, at one point she brings this up. Even though she's not a Republican or a Democrat, she's smart enough and has the ability to think independently enough to realize the bullshit that's being fed to her by the media. And she even called out some of these fake headlines. And in doing so, by calling out the fake headlines and providing the screenshots of these fake headlines, he refused to actually research and look them up because he did not want to be proven wrong. And yet again, he disagrees. The news is not the enemy. It's crazy how people will huddle in their basements or abandon their neighborhoods when they get news that a tornado is reported to be heading their way, yet still dismiss other news as fake news. You've also again claimed to hate by others, and I'll ask you to provide specific examples. I mean, people are horrible creatures and hate each other naturally, but it's certainly not a platform of the Democrat Party as it is the Republican. Proven wrong at the very beginning of this segment. Proven wrong with the Summer of Love. Proven wrong with the riots in Minneapolis. Proven wrong with the riots in Kenosha. Proven wrong recently in Memphis with the trans shooter at the school. Yet he refuses to acknowledge the violence of the left, but only points out the violence of the right. January 6th. Everything, January 6th. Okay, you have your one example. Show us others. Don't show us an article saying that it's on the rise, and you're not showing us examples. That is the reason why yesterday happened. Because there are people out there that will get on social media, TikTok, whatever platform. It doesn't, nothing specific, no specific news outlet. But all they do is they feed off of what's in front of them. They don't have the ability to get past the headline. They can't believe what they're seeing. They're believing what they're being told because the media doesn't want you to do your own research. You have to believe them because they're the standard. What you're watching and seeing live, and you're like, is this really happening? This can't be really happening. And they're going to tell you, no, it's not happening. This is happening. But yet you're seeing something completely different. That is why yesterday happened. You had a 20-year-old kid. From reports today, he was bullied. Always bullied in school. He was kicked off his high school shooting team because he was a bad shot. Well, apparently he is a bad shot, and thank God he's a bad shot. You have the left saying, well, he's a Republican. He's a Republican with an AR-15 that should be banned. Well, how about this? You know what? Some news organizations sometimes do real journalism. The AP in this case. This kid, 20 years old. On the day Joe Biden was inaugurated, donated $15 to a progressive charity, Act Blue, a very progressive charity. Now, 8 months later, he changes his voting registration from Democrat to Republican. Why would someone who donated money to a progressive organization change their political affiliation to Republican? Well, in Pennsylvania, they have open ballots. So if there's a candidate on an opposite ballot, you can vote against them. So strategically, as a voter, that is something that you could do. For instance, Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. They're in the Pennsylvania primary, using this as an example. You have a whole bunch of Democrats that go to the Secretary of the State or go online to change their voter registration to Republican. Why? To vote for Nikki Haley so that Donald Trump would not win the primary. That is a common strategy in politics. Now, they're also saying that he's a Republican because of a shirt he was wearing. That's stupid. You're going to a Trump rally. If you're going to go dressed up to assassinate a potential president, are you going to go dressed wearing all black in tactical gear? No, you're going to dress, excuse me, you're going to dress like the crowd around you. You want to blend in. So because he was wearing a shirt with the black American flag on it makes him a conservative? Because he changed his registration to Republican makes him a conservative? You have to think. If he was a conservative, why would he donate to a progressive cause? Also, the gun he used, the weapon, AR-15, bad weapon. Guess what? It was purchased legally by his father. He took the weapon from his father. He didn't buy it. Yet you're going to call him a Republican because he changed his voting affiliation for primaries to strategically vote against who he didn't want to win a primary. The kid was a leftist. He's a result of the TikTok generation. He's a result of the algorithms. Every day for the last 9.5 years, the mainstream media have been saying Trump is a threat to democracy. He is a threat to the nation. You saw it in the clip at the very beginning of this segment. That is what he's been drowning in for 9 years, half of his life. What's he going to believe? He got caught in the rotation, and it sunk in because of all of this. That is why yesterday happened. That is why there is a wedge between both sides. Because no one wants to admit or accept facts because it'll go against their bias. There are a lot of times where I'm presented with facts. I'm not going to like them. Guess what? They're the facts. It's just I have to deal with it. I'm not going to like it, but it's the truth. And that's the problem with a lot of these people on the very far right and the very far left. They only want to sit in their echo chambers. It's them making all the noise. And it's those of us that are in that middle section, for some reason, our politicians keep trying to placate to both of them. Where reality is in here. That's what caused yesterday. It's blind thinking, the refusal to accept truth. And I am being called. My Ahsoka, my kitten, is yelling at me through the door. So, I guess it's time for me to go. So, on that, it gives you something to think about. And I hope you all do think about it. It's not the loudest voices on each side, but it's those loud voices that is dictating what's being presented to us by the media, social media, and our politicians. We see it. Play the clip. They're going to say that, the left is going to say Donald Trump incited this himself. Going to say he used bad language, such as this right here. Is this language here?
Knock the crap
is
out
what
of
excited
him.
is what incited Donald Trump to be potentially assassinated yesterday.
Violence. I would have done well, but I would have been.
I'm going to put it in. I'm going to put in the clip right here, right now. Just check
I don't know
this
if
out.
I'll do the fighting myself or if other people.
Maybe a minute.
Should have been roughed
maybe
up
a little less.
because it was absolutely disgusting what he was doing. If you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of him, would you? Seriously. I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you. Try not to hurt him. If you do, I'll defend you in court. Don't worry about it. In the good old days, this doesn't happen because they used to treat them very, very rough. And when they protested once, you know, they would not do it again so easily. We've become weak. We've become weak. And you know what? The audience swung back.
So,
and I thought it was very, very appropriate.
That is the
audience
result
hit back. And that's what we need a little bit more of. Now,
yesterday, that is the result of that.
And part of the reason it takes so long is nobody wants to hurt each other anymore, right?
I don't know if I would have done well, but I would have been out there fighting, folks. I don't know if I would have done well, but I would have been boom, boom, boom.
Yet when the left does it,
do you plan on paying for the legal fees of this older gentleman in North Carolina?
So whose fault is it? Whose fault is it really that yesterday happened? It's our fault. We feed it. Rage clicks, hate watching, troll. That's what caused it. You might think you're joking around or not being serious about something, but every time you make a little comment like that, it widens that gap a little bit farther, widens that wedge a little bit farther apart. And what happens when that opens up even more? More bullshit can get in. So yeah, everything that we see in front of us today is our own doing. It truly is. So you just got to ask yourself, you're going to continue to feed it, not accept truths? You're going to run away from it, hide from it, just so you can feel safe in your own little echo chamber? Or are you just going to finally accept it and understand that this is all our making? Okay, that's enough. I got to come back here and do this on Tuesday so we can rip apart freaking Star Wars Acolyte season finale episode 8. So I'm going to get going. I got to feed the cats, and I will talk to you guys soon. Love yous. Stay safe. Pray for your families, friends, and see you next time. Good night.